Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to use ABBYY FineReader 15 to convert a file from PDF to Word, a docx format. So let's have a look. We can start ABBYY. If you look at ABBYY FineReader 15, there are various programs here. I'm going to start this one, ABBYY FineReader PDF 15. When the main screen appears, I'm going to choose Open OCR Editor. So I did that very quickly, let me do it again. Open OCR Editor. I'm going to select a page, or I beg your pardon, a document. Now when you download ABBYY for the first time and open up the document for the first time, it will start to do this. Here it's recognizing this is a 3-page document. This is called automatic recognition. ABBYY is trying to do everything for you. The advantage of that is you don't have to do very much. The disadvantage is it may not be correct. What I would suggest is that you come up here to where it says Tools, Options, Tools, Options, go to where it says Image Processing, and you choose Preprocess Page Images. At the moment, Recognize Page Images is selected. There are 3 steps here. One is Preprocess. This is a bit like smoothing out a photo. It's a bit wrinkled. Pre-processing page images is worth doing. It will make the PDF a little bit cleaner. Analyze, you'll be looking at a page and deciding, is this text, is this a photo, is this a table? And recognize will actually be recognizing all the different parts of the page. Notice that Preprocess is by itself. Analyze analyzes the page and does pre-processing. Recognize recognizes the text, etc. after analyzing, after pre-processing. So there's actually 3 steps here. We just want to choose pre-process, okay? And just for now, I'd like you to close that document and not save the texts. The only reason I opened that document was what I would do the very first time I was using the program, just to make sure the setting is set to pre-process, and not recognize. Now I'm going to click on File, New Task to start another conversion activity. So I click on New Task, and once again we get this screen for ABBYY FineReader PDF 15 Standard. I click on Open in OCR Editor. I'll open the same document that I just opened. This time we should see that it will just pre-process the pages. So it's processing the images, it's trying to clean them up. And it's done that. I'm just going to make this image a bit smaller so we can see it. So what we see here are the pages in the document and what the content of that page is. And here we have an area where we're going to recognize the page that we haven't got anything on yet. I can click on the different pages. I've also down here got a pane called the Zoom pane. If I click here, the navigation pane, I can see this zoomed. Now I'm going to just turn the zoom off. Now, we have different things on this document. We can see here, and I'm not quite sure why that was there. There's a header here with a little bit of graphic work. There's some text. There's a graphic image here. This is a manual for how to use some software. So this shows you what will be on the screen. Up here, I have a number of choices. I can select this text, for example, and select text here. I can click on picture, select this as a picture, just drawing around it, and so on. I'm just going to remove those. But before I do that, there are some settings which I must configure. The first setting that's really important is the language. With most software, the default tends to be English, but you have a lot of languages you can choose. Because I work in Portugal, I'm a Portuguese to English translator, I tend to have Portuguese and English set, for example. I'm just going to remove some of these from the past. So I'm just going to set English and Portuguese. Another way to do this is just to go down and click in the boxes. Oops, didn't get my Portuguese. I mean, of course, you can just let me just check that again. Up here, English, Portuguese. I mean, you can change this every time, but sometimes we forget. So if you're working with 2 or 3 languages, it's good to select them and then you've done it. The disadvantage of selecting many languages is the program takes a little bit longer to recognize, because when this recognizes the text in a couple of minutes, it's looking for English and Portuguese. If it's just looking for English, it's a little bit quicker. Okay, the next setting is over here where it says editable, well, editable would be very nice, editable copy. There are 5 different formats that you can choose with ABBYY. Exact copy, editable copy, formatted text, plain text, and flexible layout. Now, normally, I convert documents because I want to translate them. If I make an exact copy, and for example, I draw a box here for this text, if my translation is bigger than the original, is larger, I'll need a bigger box. If I choose exact copy, I won't be able to do that. So normally when we're translating, we choose editable copy. Next, we have to decide, do we want to keep the pictures or do we want to keep the headers and footers? This is a header, in Portuguese, a cabeçalho. This is a footer, a rodapé. In this particular case, we want to keep them, and also we want to keep all these images. So in this case, yes, I want to keep the pictures, yes, I want to keep the headers. If I didn't, I would just select here, and I wouldn't choose them. Why don't you want the pictures? Well, if, for example, the document has a lot of pictures and you want to, say, translate it, the document will be very heavy with all those pictures. If you're only interested in the text, then the final Word document that you get will be a much smaller document in terms of size. Okay, so remember that Tools Options was the other setting we've already done. Tools Options, and we make sure in image processing just Preprocess is selected. The other thing is it says Send here. This is where we choose what format we will be saving the document as. And I'm going to save Word. I want a docx file. We'll see later we can also convert to other formats, for example PowerPoint or Excel. When you choose Save, it tries to actually save it, but we can do that later. So, the settings are, make sure you've got Tools, Options, Image Processing, Preprocess Page Images selected. Make sure you've got the language of the document. Make sure you've got Editable Copy. And here we're keeping the pictures and keeping the headers and footers. Now, when we convert this page, we basically say what each part of the page is. Normally we'd spend some time and say, well, this is a header and it's got some text here. This is basically text, this is an image from the software, this is, and so on. Notice here we can make this bigger or smaller. Let me just start here with text, and I'll draw a box around the text. And if I click on here, Recognize Page, we can see here, I'll make this bigger. Oops. That I've got this text. How do I know the text is recognized? Well, the easiest way to know is I can come here and, for example, delete that E, or I can play around, I can change the text. That means I've recognized the text. If, for example, I come here, choose a picture, and click on Recognize Page, now I've got this image, it isn't immediately obvious whether this is text recognized or not. But if I click here, I can't change the word editor. I have here a picture which has some words. Right, let me quickly do the rest of this page. So I'm just going to get the text first. I'm going to choose picture to get, I'm going to make this a bit bigger, and I'm just going to, can you see, oh by the way, can you see that box? I've gone too far down. I come to the box and I can move this line up here. Right, now I can select this. You can go down here. By the way, when I draw a box, the best way is to think of top left to bottom right. Sounds silly, but I can draw this by going along here, or I can just draw it by doing the diagonal. Let me show you. If I do the diagonal immediately, it's slightly quicker. Another thing you must be careful about is that the boxes do not overlap. If the boxes overlap, then the program is not sure. For example, this is called a picture. This is a picture area. This is a text area. If I was to put this like this, this has suddenly become picture. Although it's not completely clear, I've got this selector for text and picture, so it's a bit confusing for the software. If you find two boxes that are very close together, you can really make this bigger. This is what happens in the magnifying window, but I prefer to do it just here like this. Right now, what haven't I done? I don't think I've done the footer. That's all text, so I can do the footer like this. Now, up here, What I want to do with this really is, because it's quite difficult to, if I select the text here, it will be quite difficult to select the line like this and this 3. What I'm going to do is choose here something called a background picture area. Now, if I recognize this page, you can see here, for example, this is text, but up here, this is not text, because this is like a picture. It's a photograph of the text. If I come here with a background picture, I can select the text, but I'm deliberately going to do a bad selection of the text. Now, if I recognize, you can see here, it's recognized the text, but it's all a mess. So what I'm going to do is make this bigger, slide up here. You see, I've got to make that a better selection. Now, I think this will look clearer. Let's have a look. Yes. And if you notice, I can move around. If I click here, I'm able to change it, which means I've recognized the text. Now, one final thing just before I show you how to save this. This is a photo, so I can't change this. And in fact, the original software does not have a Portuguese version, so I wouldn't want to change this. Imagine I wanted to get the text from here. Well, can I just click on Projects here and then select it? Can I now try and change this? If you look, yes, I can. If you notice, the text is slightly different. What I would suggest, though, is I'm just going to delete this. By the way, you can right-click to delete an area. What I find is easiest is if you draw a background picture, and then if you want to put text on it, you can then put the text on top. This is like layering. You've made a layer for the image, and you've made a layer for the text. Notice also I can recognize the page many times if I've changed it. Or if I decide just to delete that, I can then put it back like this. Okay. Now, just to save time in this video, I'm just going to, I can analyze this page automatically. So for example, I clicked on the page. Another approach is you can get Trados to analyze and see if it saves time or not. In this case, it hasn't really saved time because we've got all this text that looks like text, but it's actually an image that we don't want. So let me just put a background here, put the text here. Put the text here. I want all this just to be a picture because it's a picture of the screen. In this particular case, I don't want to get the text. This is also, and I can click here with text and text here. And this is a picture. By the way, I can make the drawing, I can make the box much bigger. It doesn't really matter. And the text here. Okay, and I'll just go down here and do this last page. I missed something from page 1, I realised. Get the picture here. Also, I'll put these as a picture. It's a background picture. Okay. I actually forgot to deal with this. Okay, right now, you can recognize one page at a time here, or analyze one page at a time. But you can come up here where it says recognize, and you can do all the pages. It may, so it's doing 3 pages here. Now, I can then check, that looks more or less okay. That looks more or less okay. That looks more or less okay. No, it doesn't. I've forgotten the text. It shall be checked. I'll just recognize that page. There's no need to recognize all the other pages. Notice that if ABBYY is not quite sure of something, it will put it in blue, and you can actually edit here. Now, when we want to save the document, we click on File, Save As. This is to save the document that we've converted, and I want to save it as a Microsoft Word document. I could just click here as well, Save as Doc. Okay, I'll save that here. I'll leave the name, the original name. Change it if you want. And if you notice, Word has opened up with this document. And now we've got this document as a Word document. You can see, for example, we can alter the document. Okay, I'll just save that and close that, and go. I'll just go back actually to ABBYY. Now, I've managed to do everything in one go. If I wanted to save this to work on it later, I would click on Save OCR Project. Imagine I was converting a 200-page manual. I wouldn't finish, and I would just save it somewhere, give it a name and save it. I'm not going to do that. And then next time I could click on File and open it up. Okay, that's the basics of ABBYY FineReader. Thank you very